What does the most feared man in the GOP look like? Like Newton Leroy Gingrich. The Republican establishment is flipping out over Newt's recent surge. As Politico reports today, panicked conservatives like Ann Coulter, Tom DeLay, Matt Drudge, and even Bob Dole are coming out to hammer Gingrich before it's too late. They're ready to bring him down. And Newt's getting mad. Today, he came out swinging harder at Romney than ever before, preparing for the big showdown in tonight's Florida debate.
We're not going to beat Barack Obama with some guy who has Swiss bank accounts, Cayman Island accounts, owns shares of Goldman Sachs while forecloses on Florida, and is himself a stockholder in Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, while he tries to think the rest of us are too stupid to put the dots together and understand what this is all about.
And more bad news today for Willard with those Swiss bank accounts. As we just heard, Romney failed to report more than half dozen offshore holdings in his federal ethics filing. He also failed to disclose income from a multi-million-dollar Swiss bank account. He's now revising those ethics forms, but it's yet another big flub, and Gingrich is ready to pounce.
That's how much he thinks we're stupid. And we're not stupid. The message we should give Mitt Romney is, we aren't that stupid and you aren't that clever.
Joining me now, Bob Franken, a King feature syndicated columnist, and Jackie Kucinich, national politics reporter for USA Today. She's in Jacksonville, Florida tonight. Thank you both for being here.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Jackie, you're in Jacksonville. What are people saying about Newt's explosive comments today?
I think people who like Newt love it. I mean, they love seeing Gingrich with the fire in the belly. They want to see him. I mean, I was talking to voters today who just want to see him take Romney out for all intents and purposes. I mean, they really want him to keep hammering on Romney. So for the people that love him best, they couldn't be happier that Newt is back to being aggressive Newt again.
Now, let me ask you this, Bob. You've covered Newt a long time. But just today, just at events today, Newt has called Willard grotesquely hypocritical, a liar, shameful, dishonest, fundamentally abusive. You think that pledge of being all positive is over?
Well, as somebody who has covered Newt for quite a while, I'm a little bit worried about him. He may be a little tired. Obviously, he was having a down day with his adjectives. But I would say that this is probably maybe a standard day. But he really doesn't need to do that. It seems that Mitt Romney is going out of his way to hand this to him. I mean, this disclosure about the Swiss bank accounts, Swiss bank account raises a red flag with anybody for good reason. I mean, everybody believes that this is the kind of thing that's associated with organized crime figures and the like. And while there's no indication that's the case with the Romneys, apparently their purpose for doing it, according to the spokesman, was to have some holdings, millions of dollars of holdings, in international currency. Well, that's the kind of thing that corporations do, so now we know what he means when he says corporations are people. He's the corporation.
Now, Jackie, you're down there. We know what the established Republican machine is saying, but what are you hearing from the average people? This is all going to come down to how Floridians, Republicans that are Floridians, are going to vote next Tuesday. What are you hearing on the ground in Florida?
I mean, who among us haven't forgotten a Swiss bank account or two? It just happens. No, I'm kidding, obviously, but yeah, I think that it depends on who you talk to, really. I mean, different events, you'll talk to different people. I was at a Romney event today, and most of the people there were decided. They were Romney supporters, and they were saying this guy he's solid. He is someone who can lead the country like business and really, really get things done. You go to Gingrich events and you're hearing the same thing from them, saying he's got passion. He will beat Obama. He will debate him. You hear that a lot from Gingrich people about them really wanting Gingrich to take the president to task in a debate. And I think that's one of the things driving his popularity. I think people are really excited about that possibility. In addition to, they think he's a really smart guy. And so, again, it depends on who you talk to as to whether Mitt or Newt. But it seems to be coming down to those two.
Now, who's drawing the best in crowds, by the way?
Gingrich. I mean, well, I haven't been to all of Romney's events, but I've been to a couple Gingrich, and we're thousands of people. I was at one yesterday in Cocoa Beach, and he is pulling tons and tons of people, but who knows if that'll translate into votes? I mean, Santorum had huge crowds in New Hampshire, and we saw how that worked out. So all those people doesn't necessarily translate into votes, but there is a lot of interest in Newt Gingrich right now.
Bob, you've seen debates come and go, but tonight is critical because it could really decide, if the polls are right, as close as this is, it could decide who tips toward having the momentum into Tuesday. What does Willett have to do tonight, particularly in light of the Swiss accounts that he did not disclose coming out? What does Newt have to do tonight?
Well, I think that what Mr. Romney has to do is to have it translated into the various languages of Switzerland. For one thing, all that Gingrich apparently has to do is to say certain things like Swiss bank accounts, all this type of thing. We haven't even gotten to the immigration debate. But really, right now, Newt probably just has to play defensive judo. It looks like, when somebody is mauling himself, you just stand back. And that seems to be what's happening. And Jackie, a moment ago, brought up, crystallized pretty much the Romney argument, which is that the country needs somebody who has business experience, and he certainly does have business experience with the disclosures about where his money has gone in foreign countries. The business is one like those that are outsourcing all the time.
Now, I think that's going to come to haunt him. Clearly saying the business experience, but then you don't disclose everything. If that's your calling card, doesn't look well. Let me ask you this, Jackie. How much and how important is the Latino vote in Florida, and who seems to be faring better in that community?
Romney right now is faring better among Cubans, but the Hispanic vote isn't as big of a deal in the primary as it is the general. It's important, make no mistake, but it's not as pivotal as it will be. Romney's had some issues. Immigration isn't necessarily the most important issue to Hispanics, but I read today, someone said it sets a tone. And that's one of the reasons Jeb Bush wouldn't endorse Romney, because of his immigration stance. And so I think going forward, Romney needs to figure out a way to talk about that in a way that isn't offensive or doesn't seem abrasive to the Hispanic community.
Bob, let me ask you this quickly. A lot of these primaries so far and caucus has been driven by the apparent anger of the Republican voter, the Tea Party type voter. Does the fact that the establishment is going after Newt help him or hurt him?
Right now, he's certainly turning it to his advantage. But I think we have to be fair here and point out that the politics of resentment that everybody talks about is universal this year. Everybody is running a campaign of resentment, including Barack Obama, who is appealing to those who resent those who believe that the wealthy are abusing the system.
Bob Franken and Jackie Kucinich, thank you both for joining us.